So, folks, we have a huge problem, and I'm certain you're already aware of it. It's all over the news everywhere. So we're just going to jump right into this issue, address it, and hopefully offer some solutions.
No doubt you've heard that the world's supply chain is being stressed like never before, resulting in shortages and delays in everything from semiconductors to cars to tennis shoes, exercise equipment, and a mountain of Christmas toys.
That's so true. And so here's the deal, and it's really serious. As we head closer to the second anniversary of the pandemic, we've made tremendous progress in fighting COVID-19. That's an absolute fact.
But we are a long way from being out of it.
That's true.
Until recently, an under-recognized characteristic of this pandemic is its nonlinear course, which delivers, in true viral fashion, shocking, unanticipated consequences.
That's true.
So here we are, 20 or so months into the pandemic, and our oceans are huge parking lots dotted with scores of giant container ships off the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. Both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans have dozens of ships waiting to be unloaded and tens of thousands of containers waiting to be transported to their final destination.
What we are witnessing is a massive, unprecedented traffic jam of the world's largest sea vessels that is at the very core of this catastrophe. No one alive has ever seen anything like this before in their career. Many in the shipping industry are beginning to refer to this calamity as Containergeddon.
And how bad is this?
Mm-hmm.
How do we get here? How do we resolve it? Let's start at the beginning. First, understand that 90% of the world's global trade is shipped by sea, with 70% of that in containers.
Now, we're not going to get into a bunch of numbers and percentages right here or dig into the minutia of the global shipping and transportation industries. You can check that out on our various links on our media pages or our website. But the bottom line is that we as a nation import way more than we export.
Well, the global supply chain, particularly the part of it that connects Asia to the U.S., has been running at full capacity with no margin for error.
True.
When you have a problem anywhere in the supply chain, it's going to have a ripple down effect, like playing dominoes. If freight is late arriving at port, that means that time scheduled for the truck to be at port is wrong. Now you have to go back and reschedule. That will cause additional delays and costs. Now you have to put the items in a temporary warehouse if you can find space, incurring additional costs for that housing.
And from there, once you get a truck finally moving inland, you have to constantly reschedule delivery times. You're having to juggle all that, monitor all that, and that takes time, it takes personnel, and it costs extra money.
Seams in the structure were absolutely showing pre-COVID. The pandemic laid bare the underlying reality. The domestic supply chain, ports, rail, and trucks, and so on, is almost entirely in the hands of the private sector players, and they do very little data sharing.
They're competitors, and it's an understatement to say that demand for cargo ships is extreme. To be more accurate, it's off the charts. It's up 10 times over the past 12 months.
So what does that mean in practical terms? Well, shipping companies are mining money. For more companies like Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, and others have responded by chartering their own ships.
And for how much? How much? One of America's largest box retailers just chartered a cargo ship for $80,000 a day for 1 year. $80,000 a day for 1 year. 12 months ago, that ship would have been no more than $10,000 to $15,000.
Well, one of Japan's giant holding companies is looking to charter a ship for $130,000 a day for 3 years, which would have been $20,000 a year ago, roughly. The company will have to put $35 million for the first 9 months in cash on day one.
Yeah. And who's going to pay for all that, David? Well, of course, you and I are going to pay for it with higher priced goods. And if that doesn't scream inflation, you are just not paying attention. This is a non-transitory inflation here, folks, as in real inflation that can stick around for years and years.
Another issue here is that while those big companies can't afford to charter their own ships to get their goods, smaller companies can't, which gives an enormous advantage to the big players at the expense of the little guys, a.k.a. small businesses.
Yes. Now consider the economic implications of that, David. The seventh largest publicly traded ocean carriers reported more than $23 billion in profit in the first half of this year. compared to 1 billion at the same time period last year. Now, you want to talk about flush times? Come on.
So just how bad is that traffic jam off of Southern California now? At last count, there were 60 ships lined up off Long Beach. There were often huge delays. They're even pre-COVID. There are now too many to anchor. New ships are being told to just drift off in deep water. A few weeks ago, it was even worse. Last month, Popular Science reported that a record 88 ships were sitting on the horizon, forming a line of vessels stretching south over 40 miles, from the entrance of the port of Los Angeles all the way down to Dana Point.
Yeah, and if 60 ships doesn't sound like much, understand that these ships are beasts. They are monsters, carrying as much as 12,000 FEUs. FEUs is 40-foot equivalents. That's the container truck you see on the back of a semi driving next to you in traffic. That's 12,000 truckloads each ship. And each ship each container can carry up to 29 tons times 12,000 trucks per ship.
That's crazy. There are reportedly now 16 containers waiting for every available truck at the port of Los Angeles. Railroads are scrambling to hire back the workers. Everyone is so focused on Los Angeles, Long Beach, that the other ports are getting passes. Savannah is a mess. New York, New Jersey ports are a mess.
Mess. And this crisis has brought out a lot of bad behavior and unintended consequences. First, fear of shortages has caused businesses, large and small, never mind consumers, to engage in precautionary orders, hoarding in anticipation of delays. You all saw it. The toilet paper shortage. This only exacerbates the problem by stuffing more goods into the supply chain. This is a wake-up call.
What's being done about all this? In the short term, we have to work with the system we have, and the existing private operators have to increase the tempo on what they have.
That's right.
Over the long term, as we build a better system, truly a system, not a bunch of individual elements that are flying in loose formation.
And the solution starts locally.
Amen.
Yes, LA and Long Beach are expanding their working hours. That's great. That's awesome. But remember, the trucks and the truckers and the railroads are already working at basically maximum capacity.
This is a wake-up call.
Amen, David.
Many incorrectly assume that global trade is frictionless. When you click, boom, you get the product.
Yeah.
Many American consumers during the pandemic have come to understand overdependence on foreign supplies. It's time for the U.S. to rethink how to coordinate the supply chain. For some products, it's way past time for us to produce more of them in the U.S., at home, locally.
Or maybe Americans just need to buy less stuff. You think that's going to happen? Not to be an alarmist, but it's hard to see this completely clearing up anytime soon. Experts say that the snarls could be with us through 2022 and beyond. Here's one example of why this is going to be a long-term thing. Operating ships now is far more difficult because with the COVID protocols, you now have 200 countries with 200 different protocols for shipping with the COVID policies.
And now, enter the holiday shopping season. You may recall as early as August, many warned about supply chain disruptions, saying it might be a good idea to start buying your Christmas toys now because the delay may be many, many months.
On the other hand, this holiday season, you might want to consider giving your friends and families cookies.
Yeah.
Locally baked, homemade, of course. Look around your neighborhood. Look in this plaza that we're in. Tons of small businesses offering all kinds of unique products and services that will look great at the holiday time. Correct?
Yeah. So think local, support small, Main Street business. It's the easiest way to start making a positive, productive change to our failing system.
We're going to get this right, folks. We just got to work together.
Hi, this is Tammy with Copper Creek Cookies. We've been baking smiles for over 15 years. We can print anything on our individually wrapped logo cookies. What a great way to market your business on our sweet, awesome treats. For more info, check out coppercreekcookies.net.